Hey, beautiful. Are you ready to heal from the devastation of his affair? Are you ready to leave behind the stress, the regrets, the triggers, the ruminating thoughts, all of the deep depression that you've been engrossed in lately? Wouldn't it feel amazing to be able to trust again, to regain your confidence, and be who you really are without worrying what others think about you? Well, beautiful, you can stop the intrusive thoughts. You can get control of the triggers once and for all. You can learn how to set those healthy boundaries, rebuild trust in yourself and others, and rise up as that confident woman God created you to be. And you can even leave the pain of the betrayal behind. Why? Because there's a solution that is right in front of you. And it is my Beyond the Betrayal group coaching program for Christian women who are seeking hope and healing from the devastation of betrayal. Beautiful, we are launching this program, our second round, August the 1st. So we have 10 spots available for this round, and I keep it small and intimate because we're building a sisterhood of like-minded women who are healing from the devastating effects of betrayal, and you could be one of them. Now, inside of the program, you have a proven roadmap to healing, and you have weekly video sessions where I am teaching you things like D-Day, betrayal trauma, how to establish safety, set healthy boundaries, sex after betrayal, recovery schedules, and so much more. You're also getting printable workbooks and downloadables so that you can follow along, gain better understanding and clarity. We even have a weekly coffee Q&A group coaching. Once a week, we bring our coffee, your beverage of choice. We come alongside of each other in a group coaching atmosphere. You bring your questions to the table. I coach you through them, and together we heal. Then there's the community. Beautiful, you don't want to miss this. This is your time to finally heal and to receive some incredible bonuses. My How to Thrive Through the Holidays After Betrayal, access to a private Facebook group, that sisterhood I was telling you about. You get lifetime access to all of the video sessions, the group coaching sessions, and you'll even receive 10% off of any upcoming in-person retreats and workshops that I host. So, are you ready? Are you ready for a program that's designed to help you step by step? Then grab it while you can. Down below in the show notes, click on the link. Go check it out. Grab your spot before they are gone. The prices are on sale right now through the end of July, and at the end of July, prices go up. As a matter of fact, as of July 25th, prices go up. So snag it at the early bird price, and I can't wait to see you inside of the sisterhood. Welcome back to the show, beautiful. We have an amazing show for you today. We are talking about how to improve your emotional regulation after you find out you've been betrayed. You know, betrayal leaves us in a dust of despair. It leaves us under an enormous ash heap. It leaves us in the quicksand of desperation, depression, triggers, ruminating thoughts, and the like. And we are at a loss of how to even begin to crawl out from the dump truck that he has just dumped out on us when we find out through D-Day about his pornography use or his affair. And it leaves you in a state of dysregulation. Your nervous system is dysregulated, your immune system is out of whack, and your emotions are all over the place. One minute you're in the deep, murky waters of despair, and the next minute you're on a high giggling and you don't know why. Well, it's called emotional dysregulation. Well, how do you regulate it? How do you come back in line when you find out you've been betrayed and your emotions are out of whack? Well, very simply, I'm going to tell you some great tips today that are going to help you regulate yourself once again. Now, listen, beautiful. Very simply put, emotional regulation is your ability to exert control over your emotions. Now, while it's generally recognized that emotions in and of themselves are involuntary reactions to thoughts and situations, responses, the way you approach or the way you respond, can be managed to lessen the intensity and duration in practice. So, what are some tips that you can put into practice to improve your emotional regulation? Grab your pen and paper because we're getting ready to dive in. All right, number 1, take a pause. In other words, time out. Let's call a time out. Let's step back. Let's breathe. And let's just take a pause. Sometimes taking a breath once an emotion is observed can allow enough space to begin the healing process, to begin a healthy processing of the emotions that are now heightened. The act of just taking that pause, stepping back and taking that deep breath allows that decision center of your brain to come back online, so to speak, to kick back into gear where more beneficial choices, where healthier choices can be made. These choices kind of help you figure out how you're going to proceed in a more calm manner, where you're emotionally healthy. Now, taking a pause can actually help you do that. I know it sounds simple, but beautiful, it really does work. All right, number 2 is this: practice emotional awareness and mindfulness. Now, before we get all goo-goo and gaga over the mindfulness, I'm not talking New Age stuff here, so hold on tight with me, okay? Now, mindfulness is the act of living in the present moment without judgment. In other words, you're scanning yourself. You're becoming mindful of what you are experiencing, what you are feeling, what are your emotions doing at the moment. You're observing sensations throughout your body. You're scanning the situation. You're feeling this from a place that allows you to enter a state of mental calm and clarity. Now, mindful awareness is the first step in practicing emotional regulation. Emotional intelligence is a key player in this skill. Now, for those of us who have kind of looked into emotional intelligence and we've taken the emotional intelligence test, we are aware of certain things that some might not be aware of. So those of us who are aware of emotional intelligence are able to recognize things like, well, when certain emotions arise, now I'm in tune to my body. I'm noticing I'm feeling sadness, or I'm feeling rage, or I'm feeling despair. Maybe I'm feeling happiness, but I'm aware of those emotions. I'm tuned in, so to speak. Also, it's where the emotion seems to be sitting within your body. Is it in your stomach area? Is it in your heart? Do you feel a tightness in your throat? Do you feel a tenseness between your shoulders? Is your low back tensing up? Are your thighs squeezing and like really, really tense? Is your whole body in a contraction right now? You're aware of your emotional state. Then there's the shape of the emotion. Can you describe it, right? Does it feel liquidy? Does it feel fluidy? Is it prickly, sharp, maybe round or triangular? And I know that might sound strange to some of you, but there are some of us, many actually, that describe emotions in this way. They describe it by shapes. I've had a few women describe their emotions as feeling prickly or very sharp. They are throbby, different kinds of definitions. Then there's the psychological sensations brought about with the accompanying emotion. And those are, not psychological, but the physiological. That's where your heart is racing. Maybe you have tension in your neck and shoulders. Maybe you feel a little queasy in your stomach. You're off a little bit, right? Maybe now you're having a migraine or a headache that starts to form. This All of these are observing your emotions and sensations, and it creates presence without impulsivity. So what you're doing by practicing emotional awareness and mindfulness is you're just becoming aware of your present state, what your emotions are feeling, what they're doing, where you feel them, all the things about your emotions. That's what I mean by mindfulness. Okay, number 3 is this: validate and accept your emotions. Now, this is crucial because accepting and validating your emotions is an essential step in the emotional regulation process. If you're going to push your emotions down, if when they start to rise up like a wave that is crescendoing, and you start to feel that rise deep within and you want to push it back down because it feels bad, that's not a good thing, beautiful. Numbing is also not a good thing, or even invalidating these messengers. And yes, your emotions are messengers. And by invalidating them, it can potentially create mistrust within yourself. It can contribute to further psychological issues, and it can even inspire unwanted emotions to come back even stronger later on. So, what do? Instead of pushing them aside, numbing out, invalidating them, pretending like they're not there, we accept the emotions for what they are, allow their existence without the unnecessary additional feelings of shame and judgment. God created emotions. Jesus himself felt strong emotion. He felt strong anger, righteous anger, when he was tipping over the tables inside of the synagogue. He felt strong, deep despaired emotions when he was weeping bitterly over his friend Lazarus. Jesus himself experienced emotions. And if you notice, Jesus allowed the emotions to emerge, processed them, and allowed them to move forth out of the body in the way they were intended. Not to get stuck there so that they would cause trauma, but to move them forward so they could be processed effectively. All right, number 4 is this: label what you feel. It is so important to label the emotions because this helps identify what is being felt in the moment, and it gives you a greater emotional awareness, and it gives you more information on how you can approach these things, respond to them. You notice I didn't say react? Because when we react to the emotions, we lose our control. But when we respond effectively, when we approach them and we are mindful of them, we can maintain control and not lose control. Now, I want to say that Matthew Lieberman refers to naming emotions as affect labeling. Now, he says that brain scans show that labeling decreases activity in the amygdala, which is the fear center in the brain. Assigning a name to a feeling permits more engagement in the thinking, in the reasoning center of the brain. So, when we are dysregulated, that amygdala, that fear center, takes over, hijacks the rest of your brain, which is the reasoning center, the logical center of the brain. But in order to get that back on track again, we need to permit the feelings to come and name them. This allows greater control, once again, over the response and problem solving. Now, let me give you an example here. If there's a situation where your spouse has betrayed you, you may be extremely tempted to lash out with vengeance, anger, repercussions because of the frustration and the despair that you feel. You may feel like you need to go on social media and just ruin his reputation, to call him out in front of society and everyone. Well, if you identify and label that you are feeling fear in regards to what has happened to you, then instead of moving in that direction, it may be easier for you to respond in a more logical approach and go to your spouse and express what you're feeling so that you can work on healing the trauma of the betrayal so that the two of you can move forward in possible reconciliation. So now let's look at number 5. Practice self-compassion. Now, self-compassion is a mentally healthy way of speaking and sympathizing with yourself. And this involves self-kindness over self-judgment. And this is where you're going to acknowledge that you've been hurt, that you've been wounded terribly, that this has caused deep, devastating despair in your life. It's impacted you in negative ways. And instead of judging yourself by saying, this had to be my fault, I had to have a role in it somehow, you recognize that you're the one that's been wounded. You've been victimized, not a victim, but you've been victimized. You recognize the emotions that are attached to it, and then you allow yourself to practice self-compassion. You allow yourself to see yourself as a human being that's been wounded in this situation, and that you need love, compassion, and care. Practicing unconditional regard for yourself allows emotions that are very heightened to start to soften. It helps to calm the fear centers in your brain. It brings about positive decision-making practices because you are regulating your emotions instead of allowing them to stay dysregulated. All right, number 6 is this. Practice cognitive reprisal. Now, what in the world is this, Lisa? Well, cognitive reprisal is actually the act of analyzing and taking stock of your thoughts in regards to the betrayal. You've had a devastating situation come your way, and this is very troubling, but you're going to take stock of this. And through this process, you may observe the accuracy and logic of your thoughts that may help you moving forward to form a better response when you are dealing with your unfaithful partner. Now, we normally, according to Dr. Rick Hansen, we are humans that are hardwired to notice unfavorable circumstances more than positive ones. This is so true. We gravitate toward the negative. We just are. It's our sinful nature. It's our innate negative bias that still exists, that we've had for thousands of years. Our brains are hardwired to notice potential danger in our surroundings and to filter out unnecessary information to perform more effectively while promoting safety. And recognizing the negative bias, the tendencies, gives further insight and awareness to how mental states can be potentially tipped in one direction or another. And it may even allow an opportunity to move forward toward healing your emotions. So it's recognized in psychology that cognitive distortions are manifestations of a negativity bias. These are exaggerated patterns of thinking that are often not based on fact and change our view in response to a situation. Let me give you an example. When we're betrayed, our thought process goes haywire, and we start having all of these thoughts that may not even be true in the moment. They may not be based on fact. They're especially based off of the what if, and I call it the what if monster, which is huge when we feed it. So it leads us down a devastating road. So we need to recognize our thought patterns. We need to recognize that we are catastrophizing things, that we're jumping to conclusions, that maybe we're stuck in the what ifs, and this is even causing more of an emotional dysregulation. So becoming aware of and labeling cognitive distortions gives an opportunity for you to recognize and reframe your negative emotions. And this will help you to create more control over them as you heal. Now, the last thing I want to share with you today, number 7, is this. Seek out coaching. Seek out some kind of coaching or counseling or treatment, therapy of some sort. Processing and responding to painful emotions is a skill that can be learned over time, but it also requires self-awareness. And feedback is very helpful. Having a coach to help guide you, to help you label your emotions, to help you become more mindful, to give you tools, tactical, practical tools that you can utilize to really emotionally regulate yourself is crucial, particularly when you are dealing with betrayal, because this situation can cause you to be very dysregulated. So by talking to a trauma-informed coach or a trauma-informed practitioner can help to deepen your awareness and help you with your emotional regulation. So beautiful, if you are having a challenging time right now with self-regulation, below in the show notes, schedule a consult with me. I would love to speak with you about a program that can help you to learn to self-regulate, heal from the devastating effects of the trauma of betrayal, and finally rediscover who you are so you can live a joy-filled life once again. I pray that today helped you. I pray that these tips are going to get you on the road to emotional regulation, and I would be honored to help you along the way. Stay tuned for more. We've got a great episode coming up this Friday. Be blessed. Thanks for stopping by today and spending a little while with me. I hope you enjoyed today's show and found hope, healing, and encouragement. Please remember to subscribe to my podcast and leave a review. You can even screenshot this episode and share it on IG or Facebook stories. This is how we get the message of hope and healing out to all women who are in the midst of betrayal and loss. If you're ready to move out of the devastation of betrayal and take the next step in your healing, make sure to reach out to me and schedule your breakthrough coaching call today. Until next time, love God, live your life passionately, and always choose joy in the midst of any circumstance that you may face. Cheers to you, beautiful.